Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV. I hope you guys are well, wherever it is that you may be currently around the world. Chelsea transfer talk show. It's not only transfer talk, it's a bit of everything to do with Chelsea. We're going to have a real in-depth discussion today, a real in-depth discussion about the board. And I've managed to find something in regards to an individual, a Fred on Twitter, who's detailed it absolutely perfect. We're going to be going through that and analyzing that and breaking it down in the way that he's broken it down. And just it's going to maybe open our eyes a bit, give us a different view or an idea of how the Chelsea board have run Chelsea up to now. So all that to come. That's going to come a bit later in the show. But firstly, we're going to go through some transfer talk. We're going to talk about the current players that we currently have, the potentials, not only for January, but in the summer, just all the overall news that we're finding on Twitter, give our thoughts and opinions. Once we've done that, we will be delving in, like I said, to that in-depth talk, that discussion about the board. A thread, like I keep saying, that will be broken down to you guys. And I don't want anyone to miss this. I want everyone to be here. I want everyone to be involved in this show today because it's definitely something worth watching, listening to, analyzing, and understanding. So make sure that you smash the like button, guys. Let's get them likes up. Please, let's do that. Share on your socials. Let's let people know that we're going to be having that that in-depth talk in regards to the Chelsea ball today. Try and bring some more Chelsea fans over here to give their views and thoughts in the chat. When I've done that, I will open the lines and it'll be good to get your thoughts and opinions on how you feel about what we've reviewed as well. But make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel. Let's cue that intro. Yes, people, welcome back to GNA TV. Happy Tuesday to you all, whether it's night, day, morning in certain cases if declared's around. It's usually always saying morning. Big up to everyone that's in the chat already. Over 15 of you here already, 2 minutes in. Make sure we hit them likes as always. We are going to talk transfers to start with. We're going to go through the most up-to-date news in regards to the Chelsea Football Club, contracts, etc., etc. And then we're going to talk, like I said, about the board a bit later in discussions and go through the threads that I've got prepared for you guys to go through. But before we do that, let's go through the chat. Let's see who is currently here at the moment. Because when I look through the chat, we've got man like Andre, as always, in the house. Big up to Andre. Nice to see you. Lateness is greatness, is what Concierge is saying. Big ups, Gems. Do you know what, Concierge? I'm always late by about 2 minutes. 2-3 minutes at a time. But yeah, I need to sort it out. Big up to Undertaker CFC. Big up to CFC Matty K. Alfred Russ, nice to see you in the house. Thank you for tuning in to the show today. Oluwasi, nice to see you. Big up to Noah as well. Says big up, Jim. We both hate Liverpool, bro. History FC. They are literally Leicester FC, mate. Leicester Pool. Abs, nice to see you, bro. It'd be good for you to actually listen to this show. Be good to you to actually see this show, actually, because we are going to be talking in depth the board. We're not only going to be talking about what's happened now. We're going to be going through the history books. We're going to be going back quite a while to when Marina Graviskaya first was appointed at Chelsea Football Club. So we'll be definitely breaking all that down. Ian Spence, nice to see you. We are going to be talking Jules Kounde. But before we do any of that, we're going to talk about current players at Chelsea, where we stand with them, give our thoughts and opinions, get involved in the chat as well. Now, honestly, it is fuckery. Don't get me wrong, but listen, it's worth watching. I'm going to go through some transfers first, and then we're going to delve into that discussion with the board and break down the thread that I've got ready for you guys as well. Ampadu and too many options DM next season, Jem. Too many, yes. Ampadu, no. Chalobah, I see being more of a defensive, a defender, right centre back. I do think if Kounde does come in, you could potentially utilise him better. If we go to the back four, I think you can still play both. But you've got to bear in mind, Kounde and Chalobah are ones for the future. They're players that are being brought in to not only play now and be important to now and allow us to challenge, but they're also here to allow us to in the long run, because we're going to lose Aspie, may lose Thiago Silva. It will allow us to kick on, and that's what the board are probably looking to do. Bro, the board is different. Oh, Joe, big up to you, my man. Nice to see you. Says, hope we get it. We've got a big summer incoming, and that's why we're going to talk about all this. Big up abs. Queen Marina is what Matty K saying. Kounde coming. How we going today in the chat? I hope the chat is well. Over 25 of you here already. Smash the like button, guys. Declared's in the house as well. As always, big up to Declared. Whether it's morning or evening, they're Declared. Let us know in the chat. All right, let's get into it. Bex, nice to see you. You're going to definitely enjoy the in-depth board discussion that we're going to be having later after I've gone through the transfers. Like I said, got a thread ready for you guys. But let's just get through the transfer talk first, and then we're going to go and talk about the Chelsea board into more detail. Let's start with got so many tabs open. I got so many tabs open. Which one do I want to pick? Who's that? No, I don't want to pick that one. No, I don't want to pick that one. 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 Where are they all? Why are they not all there? Oh, yeah, there's that one. All right, cool. Let's start with Fabrizio Romano's tweet in regards to Cesar Azpilicueta. I'm so used to not saying that word because I just call him Dave. But yeah, Cesar Azpilicueta. Barcelona working to sign Cesar Azpilicueta as free agent in June. Talks on contract proposed until 2024 with the potential option as per Jose Alvarez. Chelsea are still waiting for Cesar to communicate his decision. Barca also interested in Christensen, which we know about anyway. So, nothing really surprised me there. Cesar Azpi is a free agent. He is in talks. He hasn't given his decision as to what he wants to do or where he wants to go or etc., etc. So, still up in the air. We're still not getting any answers in regards to our defenders. We were being told that Azpi wants to be at Chelsea. And part of the reason why if he doesn't stay at Chelsea is because we're not giving him the 2 years that he wants. And that's where we go to next with the next comment after that, which is right here. We're going to delve into this one for you guys, which is from Nathan Gissin. Nathan Gissin is talking about a proposed contract offer for Azpi of a 2 years plus potential option of another year per at Jose Alvarez, the contract Azpi is wanting at Chelsea. So I think it probably sums up there where we are with Azpi, because Barcelona have proposed an offer that he's wanted Chelsea to offer him. Chelsea, as we know, are very reluctant to offer any more than 1 year plus an option of another year to the elders, shall we say, to the elder players of our football club. And that's probably hence is why, if we don't, and I don't think we will, I think we might see that Azpi leaves the football club. Now, I know there's a lot of people that are probably thinking Azpi is done. Maybe we could do better in that area. I agree. I do think Azpi's days are slowly closing, and that's all due for me mainly just to the age element. So if he kicks on and he goes. It is what it is. We move. Big up NS Sports. Is that Nippon? Is that your Nippon? I don't even know what that is. Big up to Simon in the house. Couch Critic in the house. Couch, nice to see you, brother, as always. Like I said, we'll be doing the in-depth talk about the board very soon. Just going through some quick transfer news. Rebecca says, smash the likes and subscribe. Big up to Rebecca. Is there Kounde news I missed? Why is everyone on about? I will be bringing Kounde news for you, Bex, very shortly as well. Big up to Nick Blue. By the way, if Azpi leaves, he goes with the blessing of the entire Chelsea fan base. He defo a legend of this club and has been nothing but amazing for us. And I agree. I think you can. For me, he's legendary status at Chelsea. End of. There's no discussion about Azpi not being in a legendary status. He is Mr. Consistent over the years. I remember Gary Neville talking about him, saying how for him he was the best defender in the league at one point. He was that good. Yeah. I personally would like to let him go. He has been a servant and will always be a legend. That's it. That's it. And if that's the case and he moves because Chelsea ain't offering what he wants, then it is what it is. Big up to Sema. Simon says, for all, would you give Rudy a captaincy if he stays? Wow, good question. I did get tagged in the question about who, if Aspie leaves, who would you want to see take on the captaincy? So let's revert that question to the viewers. There's over 45 of you here. Who would you like to manage? Who would you like to captain Chelsea? Who would you like to captain Chelsea if Aspie leaves the football club? Let us know in the chat. I'm going to give you my thoughts. We have a vice captain, right? I'm assuming it's Jorginho, if I'm right. So, does the armband not go to Jorginho? If that's the case. If Aspie leaves, is it Jorginho? Is it Jorginho? Rebecca's saying, I want cover with the armband if Aspie leaves. I hear that. I hear that. What else we got here? Aspie could have gone to Real Madrid a couple of years ago, stayed at the World Cup. He did. Mason Mount agenda maybe is what Matty K. I've seen a couple of people saying Mason Mount. I don't think he's ready for it yet. I know if Johnny's in the chat, he's going to cry about it, but no, I just don't think Mason Mount is the guy to captain just yet. Thiago Silva's a good shout, but the problem with Thiago Silva is he goes next year. So you're going to end up seeing him leave the football club to then have to get a new captain. So do you have Thiago Silva as the leader for a season, and then when he does leave, which he probably will do at that point, do you then pick someone at that point? Thiago Silva will always be at the top for me. Don't get me wrong. Jorginho Kovacic is what Andre's saying. Jorginho captain just for the meltdown. Down. It probably will be because he's vice. Bluey MCFC says Sar. Rudy or Mason. Redneck says Lukaku. Oh, God's sake. Jennifer Kante. Kante? Yeah, I just don't see Kante being that type of player. Georgie, easy. Can't give it to Rudy. Hasn't signed. I agree. What if he does sign? Wouldn't mind Georgie getting it, but Rudy is proper Chelsea and a big leader. Mount can be vice. Don't let a certain individual hear you say that, guys. Rudiger is the only one who can take over from Aspie. I don't believe that. I don't think he's the only one. I think there is other. I mean, look, Thiago Silva can. It would be temporary though. It wouldn't be permanent. Mendy, Reece. Nah, I don't know about Reece James. Reece James again. I don't feel he's there just yet. Hear me out. Maybe Lukaku falls the responsibility and potentially give him a kick up the bum. So to get the best out of Lukaku, you think we should give him the armband? Really? Rudy, Ross Barkley. My point is that it could help his contact talks if we give it to Rudy. True. That's a good idea. Lukaku captain, everyone's laughing at that. But anyway, let's move on because I do have a lot to go through, including that in-depth board talk, which we're going to be doing. Over 50 of you here already, but please make sure you smash the likes because we've only got 25. We should be on our way to 50. So if you haven't hit it, please hit it now. Subscribe if you're new as well. We're on our road to 4.1k. Let's move from this Nathan Gisson, and I want to move on to the next Chelsea player that could potentially be on his way out the door. Krusty, the big fat clown. Andreas Christensen does not see his future at Chelsea. Him and his agent are asking for a big signing on a bonus in his next contract. So basically, which again, when you look at it from a personal aspect, you've got to understand it. I get that because he's obviously thinking of his family. He's thinking of other things. But do not ever come to me, and I'm going to say this straight up now, right? Do not ever come to me and tell me that Andreas Christensen is proper Chelsea. I don't want to hear that. This guy has been offered 2 deals and he's thrown it back in our face. He could have chose to stick at this football club and shown his loyalty, as many others have done for a very long time. And you look at people like Aspie, but he's choosing to go for the big contract and that big bonus. He doesn't even feature in the Chelsea team at this moment in time. He's got COVID, but he's been in and out with injuries. And to be honest, if you want my honest opinion, I still think he's living off last season's half of last season's form, just to give him this contract that he wants. Because let's have it, right? If 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 Christensen didn't have that great half a season, would he be looking at looking at the other options that are coming on the table, whether it's Bayern Munich or Barcelona, whoever it is? Would he really be looking? I don't think so. I think he's got himself into some really good form, and instead of kicking on, he's chose to use it to go and get himself another big deal. It is what it is, and there's not much more to say. Like, if he wants to go, go. Like, bring Jules Kounde in. I don't care, but it gives me more of a thing for Rudiger, keeping Rudiger. We got to try and keep Rudiger. Clown Bitchinson. We don't need Krusty. AC out, Snake. Gem low key hurt over Krusty. I ain't. But then, do you know what I keep telling myself, Bex? Is when I actually gave this guy his name originally, it was obviously for a reason. It was obviously for a reason. My own sense, my own spider sense, that spider sense, picked up that this guy is just not Chelsea. Completely agree, Jim. He's not even that special in my opinion. He's holding us ransom. Piss off, mate. Is what Alfred says. He's had enough. He's had enough. Was he an academy player? Yes, unfortunately. C1 says give it to Reese. If Christian wants to leave, then he can go, is what Abs is saying. We've stuck by AC through countless mistakes, and as soon as he's about to hit his prime, he wants to go. Give them flowers to send else. A bit muggy. That's what I'm saying. See you later, man. We don't care. We don't care. We don't care. You keep saying this, but how many clubs are after a player that hasn't been in great form? He's revert back to his form outside of Chelsea, which in Germany you said it was pretty good. Fair enough. I take that. But I'm talking about his form since he's been at Chelsea. Were there many clubs interested in him at his period through Chelsea? I keep holding it. I don't think he's been consistent in his performances. I don't want to be sitting here and talk about Christensen the whole blooming show because we've got more in depth and more important things to talk about. But at the end of the day, he is what he is, and if he wants to go, go. Don't bother me. No nick off my shoulders. It's just going to be a little bit of a heartbroken for someone else that sticks up for him and posts his pictures of him and does images of him. He's let him down. He hasn't let me down. He hasn't let us down. He's let that guy down. The guy that actually says he's going to be the new John Terry and he's our second best defender. That guy. You know who I'm talking about. Jem, least favourite player. He's going to bounce. Exactly. He's not even that. He's my least favourite player. I had no issue with him. I don't know, man. As a neutral, Chelsea seems to be the most replaceable of Chelsea backs. I agree. It's Independent Lampard's Day. I'm having a couple of spliffs. That's not nice, man. That's not nice. Do a testimonial video. Can you imagine? Anyway, look, the news is, in this case, get back to the news. He looks like he is leaving now. Looks like he is potentially going to go, unless Chelsea throw some money at him, give him what he wants. If they're not going to do it with him, go and do it with Rudiger. Keep one of them. We can't afford to lose both. And I hope that if we are letting him go, which I'm cool with, that we are actually trying to organise Rudiger. That's what I'm hoping. That's news on Krusty the Clown. We are going to move on to quickly next a little bit on Antonio Rudiger. Chelsea, and this is from Matt Law on his London Blue pod on Antonio Rudiger. He basically saying that Chelsea could maybe look at Rudiger's recent performances in a back four and think, okay, maybe he's worth a little bit more than what we were thinking, because maybe this isn't just a guy who only here for only one system or one position. Now, I know he's just throwing like a bit of an if and a but in this, as if to say like it's what he's assuming they might be thinking. But I feel like if you really look into this a little bit more, there's a bit of truth in what he's saying. I actually do think that, as connected as Matt Law is with the Chelsea industry, that he must have been told something that led him to actually comment like this. Because we all said that we were very unsure with Rudiger, whether he can play that back four system. I still want to see more of it. I don't feel fully sold on it, if you want my honest opinion. I need to see it in a consistent manner. I do. I need to see him doing it on a consistent basis as well. But it's not to say that he can't play it, because he can. He's shown us he can do it against Tottenham. You know, we drew against Brighton. He was in that team, wasn't he? So, you know, we need a bit more consistency. We need to be a lot more solid. I need to see more clean sheets in that system with Rudiger and Silva. I like the idea of having Rudiger and Silva as my back two. I do think they're our best two centre backs anyway. And if Chelsea are thinking to themselves now that maybe if before they were thinking it was a system thing, and hence why they weren't giving him what he wanted, and now they're starting to think, and I'm talking about the board here, that maybe we need to offer him a bit more based on how he has performed so far, especially this season, and obviously in the back four, then do it, or wait. You know, they've still got time to wait. Nothing's going to happen in January, and then we've got that period all the way from now going into the summer transfer window. So I don't think with Rudiger this is going to happen like that. You know, he had that interview before the Tottenham game, and he was very clear about the whole situation, as if to say, like, you know, he's open, he's waiting, nothing's come back to him yet. He's waiting for people to sort things out. That was his literal thing. So it is on the Chelsea board, and maybe the Chelsea board are taking a step back and thinking to themselves, let's just see a bit more of this guy before we commit to maybe what he wants. Let's see how he performs throughout most of the season, and on that basis, you know, if obviously Christensen's leaving and Aspie's leaving, you can't be losing 3 defenders at one time. I do think that potentially Rudiger could stay at Chelsea. I do, but we'll have to see. It's going to be interesting stuff. It's going to be interesting stuff. Big up to Joey in the house, man. Nice to see you as always. We are going to be delving in to the Chelsea board. It's a Chelsea board discussion today. Once we've gone through some of these transfers, I'm going to go into the Chelsea board, and then I'm going to open up the lines. But it's a thread, and it's a very in-depth thread, which is giving us a breakdown and and it's basically analysing since Marina has came to this football club. So make sure you stay tuned with that as well. Rudy with the heart. I'm being told to check out Pies quickly, so let me go and check out Pies. Why are we checking out Pies? What's going on with Pies? Okay. Thank you very much for that. I will use that next. But there we are with Rudiger. We're going to bring in some more in-depth talks now. So ignore 1 second, guys. Right, we're going to move on to just a quick one here, because I was meant to have brought this up earlier, and it talks about what Bayern Munich are doing in regards to this guy, Schüller. Because, again, Fabrizio Romano has commented and said that Schüller has rejected his contract at Bayern Munich and is now a free agent to negotiate with anyone. Watch out for potential domino centre-back switches with Alonso and Christensen. Sorry, with Andreas Christensen in talks with Bayern and Barca. So, is there an option for Chelsea to sell Bayern Munich Andreas Christensen, who apparently they're quite interested in, which is quite interesting, to be honest. Quite surprising, but it is what it is. And potentially look at Schüller. Now, my question to you guys is, would you guys be interested in Schüller? Is Schüller a player that you would like to see at Chelsea? My honest opinions, from what I've seen of him, in the back four, potentially, but I just don't know whether he's made for the Premier League. I don't know if he's the answer. Could he come in and improve under Tuchel, along with whoever else comes through the door? Kounde's, because we're going to need more than one defender here. It's not just, Kounde that comes in here. Chelsea could look to bring in Kounde. They could look to bring in Schüller if they needed to on a free, because he's free. Chelsea like a little freebie, us. Too many. Thiago Silva will be here for one more season. Get them mixing with him. Once he leaves, try and keep Antonio Rudiger. And then you've got yourself Kounde, Rudiger, and maybe Schüller and Chalobah and Malang Sarr. Is that a possibility for you guys? So please subscribe to the channel, guys. Smash the like button. I've checked pies. Thank you very much, Oluwasi. We're going to look at that soon. Joey's saying no. Go away, Shula. No thanks. As Dammy said, man moves like he's running in a pair of Levi jeans. I'm assuming you're saying. That's a good one. That's a good one. That is definitely a good one. Is he that slow? Is he that slow? How many fridges are we going to have in our team? We're going to have our own version of a Maguire in our team. We're going to have our own version of a fridge. Dembele's agent is true. Well, we're going to get to Dembele. Just relax. We're on Shula at the moment. Shula is slow, is what Rams is saying, but you said the same thing about Thiago Silva. So I don't know if I can believe that. Kounde's better, and we have Kounde, Silva, Rudiger, Challo, Colwell, and Sarr. I hear that. Nah, bro, Shula ain't it. Cool. It was just to see what your thoughts and opinions were. On this player. He's not a bad player. People only see his worst highlights, but I'm good. I'd rather have Colwell's fourth choice. So are you not open in the fact that Christensen and Azpi leaves? Let's just say we somehow manage to keep Rudiger. We have Thiago Silva for 1 year. We've got Chalobah and Sarr as backup. We then bring in Kounde, who we're going to talk about in a bit, by the way. And then we get Shula on a free. Is it not worth just taking a risk on a player that is free, that's been playing for Bayern Munich? I know you're just saying he's this, that, and that, and he's slow. If he's that shit and he's free, then he just sits on the bench. And then we just get rid of him. Just loan him out. Just sell him off or something. I'm sure someone will buy him. But is it worth taking the risk on him, is my question mark for you guys. No, man, his qualities, some of you lot don't watch ball. His quality is what Oluwasi is saying. So he's saying if he's free and he's worth taking, then do it. Breaking, Inter are now advanced talks for Gozens. The race is over for Newcastle to sign him. Don't surprise me. That really annoys me, actually, because I wanted Gozens as my long-term left wing back. Shooter on a free is decent. I wouldn't mind, but it's true for a fourth. So it works, Jim. If he signs, we are tied to his high wages. Yes, but I agree. But then it depends on the length of the contract we offer him as well, doesn't it, Daniel? You know, Chelsea might not want to commit to a 3-4 year contract to him. It might be a short-term contract and it would be the smart move from the Chelsea aspect. You keep him on a short-term contract. You give him what he thinks, whatever they agree to give him, and then you move. He's injury prone, also, is what Noah's saying as well. All right, cool. Let's move from Shula. It was just a quick, because I forgot to do that one anyway. I didn't want to go on it. I really want to get into the Chelsea board, which is going to be coming up very soon. Over 86 of you here. Make sure you smash the like button, guys. Subscribe. Chelsea board chat is coming soon. I want you guys to all tune in for that. Quickly on Simon Phillips. With Reece James close to fitness, Malang Sarr proving his worth, and Kennedy recalled from a loan at Flamengo, there is a strong possibility that Chelsea don't bring in anyone this month. One last late attempt on Emerson cannot be ruled out. That came from the Athletic itself as well. I think, if my honest opinion, I think we knew we were done in signing anyone for about a couple weeks ago. For me personally, the left wing back for me was the area that I thought if we were going to buy anyone, we would bring in. The fact that Emerson is not being released from Lyon tells me that we probably won't do anything, hence why we bought Kennedy in. They may go for him one more time, but if they've already tried 2 or 3 times, what's going to make him change the goddamn mind? What's going to make him say, yeah, send him back? Like, I just don't see Chelsea signing anyone. Obviously, Reece James is returning back. He is close to fitness. Malang Sarr has now given Tuchel another option. Part of the reason why we can play this back 4 that we are currently possessing right now is because Malang Sarr can play left back, and he's better than Alonso in that position. Kennedy has been recalled as a bit of backup. I expect Kennedy to play in the lesser games, cup games. You will see Kennedy, I think. Where he plays him, I don't know. If he sees him as a left back, or if he sees him a bit further up the pitch off the left, a bit like where Callum Hudson-Odoi was when we saw him. Yet to be seen with Kennedy. I don't think Kennedy will be hanging around a long time unless he really impresses Tuchel and us. So, it's going to be Ooh, it's going to be interesting. Really. He's a German. Yeah. I guess. I guess he's going to take the best offer, isn't he? And I'm sure some other big European clubs will come into him, bearing in mind he's a free player. I'm talking about Schüller here, guys. What do you say about Borna Sosa? I've heard about this guy. I've not watched a lot of him, to be fair, but there's not much I can really say when I've not really seen this link to him. Banky is what I'd say to that. We won't win the league now, and top four is really safe, so I would not bring Emerson back at this stage. What Matty K saying? We give a Chelsea, we give a go Chelsea because he will go be good for Bayern centre back. That's what Ian's saying. Chelsea are not going to sign anyone this window and the summer window. The checkbook is closed for Chelsea now. We just throw a top four team. And do you know what I think we have been doing this January market? And we're going to get into some of the potentials that are going to come in later. Hopefully come in later. I think we've been trying to plan ourselves to bring in potentials for the summer. I do think we've been busy. I just don't think we've been busy for this month, for this window. That's what I think. I think we're potentially trying to knuckle down certain players before the summer comes, and maybe behind closed doors, trying to have agreements in place to limit clubs to, for example, on Kounde and Tchouameni, for example, for approaching them in the summer. That's what I think we might be doing. Smash the likes, subscribe, and join the Discord, guys. We have got the Discord. The link is below in the description. So if you do want to jump in over there, everyone that's in the chat now is literally over there in the general chat. Straight after this, we all talk football, news, everything. Well, he stayed with Danny Welbeck down the wing, who ain't that slow, and pretty much bullied him off the ball and obviously got a goal kick for it. The thing with Thiago Silva, Rams, is he knows when to run. He positions himself so well that you don't really see his vulnerabilities a lot in games, my bro. But we move. Big up to Sportswire in the house. Nice to see you. Seppers, nice to see you. Why couldn't we try and Dest on loan instead of we try to get our own player back from window? I mean, a lot of people weren't interested in Dest, though, were they? A lot of people were sort of reluctant with the Dest news. All right, so we're going to delve into real quickly, before we get into the board discussion, which is the next thing we're going to be talking about. Dembele, because I had some people messaging me saying, let's talk about Dembele. Is there any news? So the news that I got, what we saw yesterday was that Dembele is unlikely to join Chelsea this month unless a late opportunity arises and an attacking player leaves the department. Now, that makes a lot of sense to me personally. In terms of the wage book, you've got too many forwards on the wage book anyway. To bring in another who's going to demand quite a high wage bill, is it possible for Chelsea to do now? No, unless they get rid of someone in the January, which they're not going to do. And then obviously we saw, this one. Then we saw this come up, which is recent, literally not long ago, from Paz, which is Dembele's agent arrived back to Barcelona from London. This is literally that's 1:01 p.m. So it's about 15 minutes ago that this has just come out via Shulagasi. Ousmane Dembele's agent arrived back to Barcelona from London, where he's expected to have another meeting with Barcelona to have a crucial meeting the player's future. I think he's worded that wrong. Not confirmed that he met with Chelsea yet. Updates to come, if anything. So Dembele's agent has been in London. He's just arrived back to Barcelona to have a crucial meeting in regards to the player's future. Whatever them discussions are, we're not sure if it was Chelsea. It could have been West Ham. It could be Arsenal. It could have been Spurs. Who knows? We're waiting for confirmation and updates to find out who Dembele's agent met in London, but he has just arrived back today in Barcelona to have that chat. So maybe there's a proposal there for Barcelona that's been offered from a London club, whether it's Chelsea or not. We will be finding out more on Dembele very soon, I think. Very, very, very soon. So interesting stuff for us to be aware of. I still don't think Chelsea are going to sign him. I do. I don't. I'm trying to think who else, in terms of a London club, would have potentially approached him. Arsenal, potentially. They didn't get Vlahovic. Spurs are looking at Adama Traore. Could they be talking to Dembele? Potentially. Conte might like the player there. So there's a lot potentially that we'll have to wait and see on. Wouldn't mind Dembele, but I don't see it going through. Nor do I. That's the thing. And even though his agent's on his way back from London, I'm not even sure if it's Chelsea. I'm not even 100% confident that it's even Chelsea. Seppers is saying he thinks it's just Chelsea. We have to see, my man. We will have to definitely see on that. But keep an eye out because we should be getting some more updates on that very, very soon. Moving away from Dembele, we're going to move on to the last topic before we talk about the Chelsea board, which is a bit of news on Jules Kounde. Now, there's been talks today about the potential of Jules Kounde coming to Chelsea, and apparently Chelsea are negotiating a deal with Kounde in the regions of around £46 million sterling to sign him from Sevilla in summer. When you click into the thread and you go into Simon Phillips' actual page, I read a bit about it. Called into Tuto Mercato Web, they are now trying to do a similar deal with Jules Kounde from Sevilla, who tried to sign last summer, but now they are trying to hash out a deal with his club now to agree the move for this summer, which would wisely stop any potential competition coming in for him. They believe the arrangement for Jules Kounde would be around 55 million euros, which obviously equate to the 40 odd million that we just said. Seems close to being agreed. So that's the feedback that we've got. That we've got on Simon Phillips. That's just me. You guys can't see what I'm reading here, but I'm just reading the article in the background. So 55 million euros, close to being agreed. Obviously, Jules Kounde wanted to leave last summer, didn't get the opportunity to do so. But now it looks like Chelsea might be very close to getting this done. Very close. We might need a couple more tier ones to come out and confirm Jules Kounde. To Chelsea and the news that we just had. But we'll see. But it makes sense. Listen, guys, let's get to 50 likes, please. Only 46 likes, 114 of you here. We're going to be discussing the Chelsea board next. And it's a thread. It's a thread that I found on Twitter, but it's really deep. And it goes back all the way to the beginning when Marina first arrived to Chelsea Football Club. Part of the reason why I want to go through this is just to give you guys another view of how you can look at the board, how you can feel towards the board, and make your decisions upon what you see. I will open up the lines. The lines straight after I've gone through the board thread will be open, and then we'll get your thoughts and opinions as well in the chat. So make sure you stay tuned, but get them likes up. Let's close it. Let's get to that 100 likes. Let's do that, please. One day I'm going to have him on. One day, Kounde. Jim Dembele agent arrived from London to Barcelona. Yeah, I just literally spoke about that, Fraser. Thank you, bro. Thank you for that. Bring Kounde home. Bring the crown jewels home. Tell me about it, man. I've checked it already, bro. We've literally just gone through that. That was the last thing we just went through, but thank you again. We didn't even attempt with Milan a swap deal, including Marco Alonso for Theo Hernandez. That's never going to happen in January. Again, he's not going to be going anywhere because he's important to Milan. He's a long-term player for me. I can only see him coming in the summer. We only ever had one good window with Marina from the start. And we're going to talk about that now, Seppers. Let's get into it. But this is the news. To finish off, this is the news on Jules Kounde. Close to a deal of around 46 million is what we're being told. We need to hear more tier ones come out and push this news so that we can confirm that it's true. Obviously, Simon Phillips has come out and said that it's very close, very close. Chelsea trying to get it done now so that so by the summer, it's just that he comes to Chelsea rather than him getting other clubs approaching him, which is a good move from the club, from the board. Get it done early and don't muck around in the summer and allow other clubs the opportunity to sign a player like Jules Kounde, because that's what we don't want. He wants to leave and he does want Chelsea. Hopefully, anyway. Kounde and Schuler or De Ligt will be great. I hear you. Kings of CFC, big up to you. No worries. Nice to see you. Guys, we are going to delve into the board talk. The thread on the board is the next topic of the show. And I am going to share it. Let's get it up. big up to this guy here, Johan Cruyff. If you don't know who he is, go and follow him. Funny enough, one of my boys, Mike, he actually commented on it and said, if you really want to learn and understand in depth about the Chelsea board since Marina's been here, or his view, because at the end of the day, Twitter is about opinions. It's about people giving you an opinion and a different view of things. And that's why I love it, because that's what it's about. That's what it's about. This thread is discussing the problems with Chelsea's board. All right, retweets you can follow. Go and follow him if you want to as well. But we're going to delve into this. I'm going to zoom in a bit more so you guys can see it. And we're going to start with the first comment from him, which says, first, let's make it clear before rival fans have a go at me. Us Chelsea fans are extremely grateful for what Roman has done for this club. Without him, we wouldn't be where we are today. But it doesn't mean the board and him, even himself, are immune from criticisms. And 100%, I agree with him. 100%, I agree with him. So he's broken down some threads, right? I'm going to go through them, okay? If you ask Chelsea fans when did the problem start, you might get a number of different answers, but I'm going to go from 2013. So he's going to start from 2013 when Marina was appointed straight after the win of the Europa League. And it says, as the director of Chelsea, for those who don't know her, here's a brief summary. So you click into it and it just clearly says Marina Graverskaya, board member, in June 14th of 2013. So, okay, cool. So that's that. So when we are, and I remember this comment, I really do remember this comment. There was comments when Marina signed, and it was in the Evening Standards, funny enough, and it basically said that she's basically the power at Chelsea. Roman trusts her implicitly. She's not interested in being a celebrity, but there's no doubt who's in charge and who calls the shots. That was the first comment that came out, or one of the first comments that came out about Marina when she first was appointed at Chelsea. And it's interesting stuff because that's how I feel Chelsea fans have felt, even to this point up to now, that she is that important, that she is the one that's making the calls. You know, that is interesting stuff. But I need to try and get this so you can see it. So with Marina, she also acted as a technical director for 2 years when Marco Emenalo stepped down. The club was so confident in her ability that Emenalo wasn't replaced until Peter Cech arrived as a technical and performed the performance advisor in 2019. So we moved from that. And this is what I want to move into now. So trying to get this right. Marina is actually very good for most part of the financial side of football. Great examples of her work are selling people like Morata, David Luiz, Oscar for 170 million. So in terms of Morata, David Luiz and Oscar, she made around 170 million sterling. She also lowered the asking price of Chilwell from 80 to 50. So one of the things that I do big her up on for is that I know that we do tend to sign players and give them stupid wages, which we can talk a bit about later. But when you think about since she has arrived into this football club and the players that we've managed to get decent money on and actually, do well in terms of selling, I think this club has really, I think we've done good with certain individuals. Morata, you got to remember, was in a bad spell, wasn't having a great time. And, we managed to get the money that we did for him. David Luiz was good, but the money that we got for him for PSG I was shocked. I'm not going to lie. I was really shocked that we managed to do that. Oscar is another individual who, when he left, made his decision to go to China, wasn't it? And they were paying serious money. And then you go to the most recent, Ben Chilwell, and the discussions of Ben Chilwell were originally around 80 million. And a lot of Chelsea fans were abrupt, not interested in it. She managed to get him down to 50 million and the agreement was given in. So she's done a lot of good on the buying on Chilwell and the selling of Morata, David Luiz and Oscar, which has made us 170 million sterling. However, since her arrival and some of the scouts, we only seem to back the managers when we don't win anything. We've always become a sell to buy club. Rivals will point to the money we've spent, but fail to acknowledge the sales. Our managers have also criticised the board, and that is true. And then what he's done here is, and I have to zoom out a bit, in and out all the time, is he's put up sort of brief breakdown of the scouting team at Chelsea. So you've got Scott McLaughlin, who was appointed in 2011, couple other people like David Wilson. To be honest, I don't know these people. Mings, Massieri, Bruno. I think Ross Turnbull. Like Ross Turnbull as a scout, the guy was a third goalkeeper at Chelsea. We've got Ross Turnbull as a scout. And then we've got Anders Jensen, Carl Magny, Tika Musonda, and then Christoph Lolichon, who is the scouting goalkeeper. So you've got 3 youth scouts, right? You've got a goalkeeping scout in Christoph, yeah, and then you look at this the actual main scouts that are going out and looking for the new talent that Chelsea should be potentially looking to bring in for future or even now. Ross Turnbull, Bruno, Leonardo, AD, and David Wilson, and the chief scout being Scott McCucklin. So when we sit here and go, we've got to get rid of Scott. Scott is pretty much the one that is signing off these deals. So he might get approached by the scouts below on a potential person that they've been watching for the last 2-3 months. And Scott is the guy that signs it off. And I know Abs, big up to Abs, who's probably in the chat. He is stressed. He is stressed about the this guy needs to get rid of him. He's part of the problem. We then move on to another comment here that basically says that Antonio Conte and Maurizio Sarri expressed their displeasure at transfer targets being dismissed by Marina for costing too much. We know this. We know that Conte and Maurizio Sarri were backed at the beginning when they hadn't won anything, but as soon as they won something, wasn't backed by the board. And that's where I think he's trying to go with this. This is where I think he's going with this. And there are 2 examples of managers that didn't and wasn't getting backed. We then move on from this and we scroll down and he's putting another comment. So we've got, I'll come back to the net spend at the end, but let's take a look at the players we've signed since 2013 in the 13-14 season. It was obvious to many Chelsea fans that we really lacked a striker, but rather than sign Diego Costa, who Jose wanted, we gave him Etu on the free, Schürrle and Willian. So these are the 3. So let me read that again. So we've got I'll come back. In the 13-14 season, it was obvious to many Chelsea really lacked a striker. But rather than sign Diego Costa, then when I remember this, because we were trying to bring him in, that was apparently who Jose wanted. We ended up giving him Samuel Eto'o on a free, Schürrle and Willian. Samuel Eto'o was at an age where he wasn't at his peak. It was just an opportunist. You say an opportunist buy. Schürrle was doing bits. Didn't watch much of him before. And William was at Shakhtar Donetsk. Again, you could say was taking a bit of a risk in bringing in. And then there's these quick. Let's have a look at this. So this is who we bought in when we're in the summer of when Jose had just won his title. So Casey Palmer, Andre Schürrle was bought for 18 million. We bought in Marco Van Ginkel, who I remember from Vitesse, at 8 million. We then bought in Christian Cuevas for 1.7 million. William was bought for 30 million from Anzi, sorry. And then you had Samuel, who was bought in for 2 million from Anzi as well. And then we brought in Christian Atsu, who you probably remember, for 3.5 million. That was the summer that we currently had. Rather than bringing in a target like Diego Costa, which is what Jose wanted to continue to be able to challenge, we ended up giving him players that were either on a free or, were all right, semi-talented, but were risks because they hadn't played in the Premier League and he wasn't aware of them. So we move from that comment further down, and then he talks about these players. So basically he says these players weren't good enough and we only finished 4 points behind the first despite scoring 31 goals less. So if you look at the league table there, Chelsea was sitting in third after 38 games, 82 points. But we weren't far behind Man City when they won that league in 13-14. And that was with a Samuel Eto'o, a Willian, an Andre Schürrle, and some random players. So these players weren't good enough, and we only finished 4 points behind the first, despite scoring 31 goals less. And we did literally score 31 goals less. Had the board showed ambition, we would have won the league here We end up having 0 trophies, but when we don't win anything, that's when the board decide to invest. And that's what he's trying to get at. And it's really good because I never really thought about it that deep. Because when we have won, I can't actually, and I'm borrowing Frank Lampard, but Frank Lampard was backed after, not Frank Lampard, I'm talking about, not even Frank Lampard. He was giving them players for getting Champions League football. He didn't win anything though, did he? So when you think about it, we only back managers that basically haven't won anything. And then when they've won something, instead of kicking on and improving on that, yeah, and going to get in a Diego Costa for Jose Mourinho, or going to get Conte and Maurizio Sarri, individuals that they need to kick on going into next season to allow them to challenge and be competitive, we do the opposite. We kind of just take a step back and go, well, you've won this, you've won that. Why do you need any more? Even though we can see that there's certain areas of the team that need to be improved on, and that's a problem when you think about it. And then you think about Thomas Tuchel. Think about Thomas Tuchel, because yes, we got him Lukaku, who people would say that he isn't a Tuchel signing, he's a ball signing. We didn't really bring him anyone else. He wanted Hakimi. We failed on that. We failed harshly on that. Barring Hakimi, Haaland, and Lukaku, I don't think we were linked to anyone else. Or if there was, or if Tuchel was asking, they weren't interested. They're only interested in potentially just bringing in a striker. He then moves on to say that for 14-15 season, we are lacking a striker and a midfielder who can create from deep, as well as a fullback depth. Mourinho gets his targets and we win the league with 93 points and the Carabao Cup. The manager was backed and we were successful. So let's have a look. He's talking about the 14-15 season. So there is a point where we did back at this moment. So it's like we're picking and choosing who we're backing and who we're not backing. Because when you look at the summers in here, it's completely different. Cesc Fabregas was bought for 27 million from Barcelona. We bought Diego Costa in that season at 32 million. We then bought Felipe Luis in at 15.8 million as well. Didier Drogba came back on a free, which was a bonus because even at that point, it was still okay, semi-okay. And then we even threw Loic Remy in, who wasn't great, but we had him as backup. You think about our strikers now. We don't have any backup. We don't have it there. And there's a little comment here. It says, one day when I first met him, he told me I need 2 players. I'm going to sign Diego Costa if you come to me. He drew me to the team. I don't know who this is though. He drew me to the team on paper and said, this is the team who's winning the title. The first day I met him, he said, I only need 2 players. Who is basically signed, and then Thibaut Courtois was coming, but if not, it was Peter Cech. It was basically the same, but he said, you come, we will win the title. So basically, the selling point to I'm assuming this is Diego Costa's comments, to do someone like Diego Costa was that this is how I fit you in the team. This is why we want you. We'll win the league, etc., etc., etc. And we did. And the board backed it. They backed the vision and they went forward with it in that moment of time. Again, 93 points in the Carabao Cup is pretty impressive, and winning the league. We go then, so we've gone from 13-14, where you've seen no real backing, but we were close, right? Then we went for 14-15, where he was backed, Mourinho, and was given the players that he needed to compete. Because why? Because he came back in, he hadn't won anything at Chelsea at that period. So it seems like they backed the new manager that comes through the door by giving them what they want. He goes and wins in 14-15 season, all right? And then from the 14-15 season into the 15-16 season, which we're going to talk about now, it then says, then 15-16 arrives. The best time to show your dominance is to invest when you're top of the league. And what did I say earlier to you guys? When you're at the top of the league, when you're challenging, when you're winning things, you improve that team. You allow your team to dominate, move forward, yeah? So the best, so in order for them to stay there. However, as discussed, when we win anything, the board won't invest. Our transfers were awful. Mourinho was furious. Problems off the pitch. We finished 10th. And I remember it. We finished 10th. This was his summers in. So back on the back of winning a Premier League and a Carabao Cup, the season after, under Jose Mourinho, his second season, we then bring him in Nathan, who the fact that is, Begovic as a backup goalie, Baba Rahman from Augsburg for 14 million, Pedro for 21.4 million, which you could say is backing because it's in addition to the forward line. Cool. Kennedy at 6.3 million. Pappy from Nantes at 2.7. We bought in Michael Hector for 4 million, and that's it. So you try and name me one player there that really you can think can improve the squad based on based on what we'd seen in the past. Guys, I ain't reading the comments at the moment. I know you are probably all talking. Sorry, it's just that I'm just trying to really delve into. So if you are writing, I will go through it all after. So just bear with at the moment as well. But keep smashing the likes, please, as well. Let's get this up to 100 likes. There's over 140 people here, so let's keep getting that up. Keep sharing it. Yeah, look at that. So Mourinho's second season. This is what they gave him. They gave him this. They gave him this. Costa was still there. Hazard was still there. And we ended up finished 10th, which is probably our worst. I remember that season. It was absolutely abysmal. We had problems off the pitch with players not wanting to play for him. And then this happened. Jose Mourinho in clash with Chelsea board over lack of summer signings. Jose Mourinho is frustrated about the lack of transfer business the club has done this summer, according to reports. There we go. So that's your 15-16 season, all right? He then moves on to say this. A great example of bad scouting and signing players based off names is Dilobogi and Falcao. Dilobogi played for a grand total of around 8 seconds. And he's not even joking, he's saying, when he said that. And Falcao just had a failed loan at Man United. And I remember that. He was shocking. While struggling due to injuries at Monaco, his loan was a disgrace. And there he is, loan in. We also loaned in Falcao for him as well, which was, again, a risk move. We didn't go and look across Europe at the top talent at the time, the players that were deemed as prolific goal scorers at that point, and try to help Mourinho improve that area. If it was to give back up to Costa, whatever. We decided to go on a loan move for Falcao, which then you got to think falls on the scouting system, because the scouting system are then the ones that are watching Falcao going back to the board, Marina, whoever, and reporting these type of players as the players that should come in, as whether it's a loan or a buy, to improve the squad. And they're just not good enough. With Mourinho sacked at that point, Conte is then appointed in 16-17. Some of the transfers here are questionable, but Conte was backed. The main player here is Kante. Other top clubs were in for him, but because the board backed the manager, we signed him and won the league. So this is after the sacking of Jose Mourinho. We're bringing Conte. We brought in Michy Batshuayi from Marseille. We gave him N'Golo Kante at 32 million. What a bargain that was from Leicester City. And you've got to bear in mind, he was on the back of winning a league as well. We bring in Marcos Alonso from Fiorentina. Why we did that? At 23 million. And we then re-signed David Luiz for 30 million from PSG, who again had a good season playing next to Thiago Silva, as you remember. So I look at that, and again, Conte just arrived at the football club, getting used to it, getting a feel for the squad, goes to the board, or the board ask him, okay, you've seen the squad, what players would you need to work in your system, in your profile, in the way that you like to play the game? And they give him what he wants. If he wanted Marcos Alonso, he got him. David Luiz back. N'Golo Kante, I think anyone would want. Michy Batshuayi, who knows, was he a Conte signing or not? So, I agree with him. He was backed. He came, he was backed. He was given the players that he needed. And if you remember, started having issues at the beginning of that season as well. Wasn't getting them playing well. It was only when we lost to Arsenal 3-1 that he switched the system, and then we moved on. But similar problems arise in 17-18. Conte wasn't to keep Matic, but he was sold. He wanted Lukaku, but got Morata. The board either made their own signings or told Conte they would sign his. We finished fifth with our worst transfer window for years. Conte even took us to court. That was on the back of this. So 16-17, He was backed. He was given players. We went on and kicked on, and we won the Premier League. As you already know, we won the league under Conte, and he was backed. The second season, when we need to kick on and improve and back the manager, yeah, we go and do this. We literally go and do this. He wanted Lukaku, and I remember this, but we ended up getting Morata. Man United wanted Morata, and Chelsea wanted Lukaku. But for some weird reason, we ended up both switching it around. And Man United ended up getting Lukaku, while Chelsea ended up getting Morata. So we ended up finished fifth with our worst transfer window for years. And when you look at our transfer window at that point and you read it, forgetting the players that were who they are now. Timo Bakayoko was a prospect at the time, bought in for 40 million. Antonio Rudiger from Roma made sense because we needed to improve the defense line. There was a lot of aging defenders. He came in. Caballero was back up. Alvaro Morata was bought for 58 million. We brought in David Zappacosta, who barely played when coming in, and we ended up signing Danny Drinkwater for 35 million in the second season of Conte, which is absolutely disgusting, to be honest. But he's right. We finished fifth. We didn't. I remember that season was torrid. He was naive in changing his system. He didn't want to play to adapt with, the players that were given to him, even if he didn't want them. I think part of the reason why he did what he did was because he wasn't backed. I don't think half of them players were players that he actually wanted. And if you read this here, there's a statement from AS back then. It says that Conte has openly complained about the club's transfer policy and his lack of influence over it. Since this summer, the club has decided on each player, he said there has even been different situations. Sometimes I have an impact on them and sometimes not. Surely I don't have a big impact on the transfer market. That don't sound good to me. The Italian coach believes that the squad is short and has insisted that he can't always use the same players. He cites that this is a reason why he struggles to sleep at night. When the squad is not big enough, you always have to play with them players. And this season, I've done a lot of rotation. I'd be crazy if I thought I could put the same players in every competition. It's not easy, and I do not sleep because of this. So basically, he didn't get backed. He didn't get what he wanted. And it ended up just making it hard for him because he ended up playing the same players who then got overrun, tired, whatever you want to say. And it ended up with banners like this. Conte admits frustration with lack of influence over Chelsea transfers. And then he took us to court. Antonio Conte wins legal battle against Chelsea over the Stamford Bridge sacking. An employment tribunal has ruled that Conte, who led the Blues to the Premier League title and FA Cup in his 2 years at the helm, was unfairly dismissed. He was unfairly dismissed probably because he probably had it out with the board. They probably didn't like what he had to say, which was probably partly true, and ended up going the wrong way. So, on to the next bit. One of the biggest problems with not backing Conte was that he wanted Van Dijk. Someone who's not only would greatly improve Chelsea, but would have stopped title rivals, Liverpool, improving drastically that season. Windows still haunt the club to this day. So Chelsea supposedly were interested in Van Dijk at that point, and one of Conte's targets was him. They didn't want to back him. I remember Van Dijk going through a period where he was injured at Southampton. He got injured at Southampton, and I remember I think it was only Liverpool that came in for him. Yeah, we've read this already. I don't need to read this again. We've already read this. So yeah, and I agree with that. You buy players to not allow strength to. You buy players to fit your system, but also to not allow to strengthen your rivals. And Chelsea would have known that Liverpool were interested in Van Dijk and saw the potential. And at that point, we didn't have great defenders. Van Dijk at Chelsea changes everything. Liverpool don't go. I don't think Liverpool go on and win what they did. And partly of what he said there is true. It doesn't drastically improve Liverpool. By far, Van Dijk was unreal in the season that Liverpool went on to win things. Now, you go and put him in that Chelsea squad and you back Conte, if that is truly who he wanted at the time, you've strengthened that squad hugely from a defensive aspect, at least. we were leaking goals in that second season. We were struggling. We couldn't, it was horrible that season to watch. After finishing fifth and winning the FA Cup, Surrey is appointed. So we're on to Surrey now. He's given some power over transfers, but not all of it. The main issue being Kepa. Courtois leaves on the deadline day, and the ball clearly didn't plan properly. This meant you signed Kepa for 72 million on a 7-year contract, which I still can't get my head over. They made him, at the point, our most expensive signing and gave him a 7-year contract on top of that. And there's some little articles here that basically Chelsea have signed Kepa from Borough for 71 million. Kepa arrives at the bridge, blah, 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 with the deal surpassing Allison's 66 million to Liverpool, who, to be fair, I think we tried to go for, but he chose Liverpool over Chelsea. That's what I heard. That's what I heard anyway. And this was on the back of Courtois leaving, so I'm not going to go through all of these articles anyway. And then he moves on to say, the huge contract means it's extremely difficult to offload him, and he's been far from good enough in his time here. He had the ball planned properly, we could have gotten as much better keeper. We all knew how much Courtois liked Madrid, and you must prepare for these scenarios. It's a bit like the Eden Hazard thing. We knew eventually he was going to go one day. I knew Thibaut Courtois wanted Real Madrid. He made it very clear. So what he's then stressing about again, and this is all relating to the board, all this stuff that we're going through, we've got to think from a board's perspective, is that we haven't, they haven't planned well. Their planning mechanism of being able to plan to bring in for the end of the season. Think ahead. You're in January. Think about signing a goalie now because Courtois is going to go. Like the planning that's it required isn't there. And we've ended up rushing around trying to find a goalkeeper, and we've panicked and rushed in and brought in Kepa without really thinking about it. We just bought him it, gave him a 71 million and put him on a 7-year contract. And he's right. It was definitely a rush signing. Problems in 18-19 don't end there. We knew Hazard was leaving at the end of the season, so we had to plan a replacement. The response to sign Pulisic. Not only is he nowhere near Hazard's quality, but he was also only signed for the American sponsorship and bringing fans from the US. So now the board are thinking from a marketing aspect. They're thinking, we bring in Pulisic. He's not at the same level as Hazard. He could potentially in the future, but he brings money. American sponsorships, fans from the US. They're thinking ahead about the money. And let's get it right. I don't think you can replace someone like Eden Hazard anyway. I didn't think it was possible. What I thought we would do is buy at least 2 or 3 players that were not at his level, but that could help the system move forward. And that's where, again, it falls on your scouting team. Who can they find? What can they bring? How can they find it? How Chelsea plan to conquer America by signing Christian Pulisic, who will earn 100 million in his new US sponsors. Mad, isn't it? That's how much he was earning. But it gets worse. Despite a Europa League final versus Arsenal coming up, the board decided to arrange a friendly just 4 days after the Premier League ended against Sarri's wishes. Whilst the friendly was for good cause, the timing was not, and Ruben Loftus-Cheek got a huge injury on the pitch. I remember that. But again, I didn't know it was he's really detailed it. We were on the back of going into a Europa League final against Arsenal. I remember that game as well. This is the one that gave him that crucial injury, that AC injury. And it was a bad decision by the board. And again, it was a board's decision to play that game, even though it was in for good cause and they wanted to play. Some people could argue that, you can't blame them too much about it. Shit happens, as you would say. But obviously, Loftus-Cheek got injured. Sarri didn't want to play the game at the time because of the Europa League final being in the back of their minds. And they'd just come off of a massive season. And I get that. As a manager, you want to protect your players. You want them to all be available. And you want them to have a rest. The board didn't want that. The board wanted more games. Or they wanted that extra game. They got it. And we ended up losing Loftus-Cheek. There's a comment here. Basically says Chelsea players were seen joking about the state of the pitch when they first stepped onto it, pretending to roll it up like carpet. Surrey ended the night clearly furious when his worst fears were realised, and he lost a third important member of his first team plans to injury ahead of the Europa League final. Defender Rudiger with a knee problem. Hudson-Odoi was also missing in Baku. And people forget, Ruben Loftus-Cheek at that point was balling. This is probably one of the best Ruben Loftus-Cheeks I'd seen at the time. At that point, he was important, as was Antonio Rudiger, who was in the season, and Hudson-Odoi to a degree, who played many games under him. So I get why he was stressed. And then Sarri is sacked, and there's a transfer ban. So in 1920, the board are forced to activate Kovacic's buyout clause from his loan deal. But they also hired Lampard, someone who was clearly not ready for the job, and only hired due to him being a club legend. Whether or not that is true, I think it's down to your own. It's your own thoughts, how you feel about that. Guys, we've only got 68 likes. Let's get them up. Let's try and get to 100 likes, please. Let's do that. I am going to open up the line straight after this, get you guys involved. We are nearly at the end of it, I think, as well. But it's like I said, it's to really give you an analysis of how the board have worked with managers. So let's move from it. So yeah, whether or not we hired him because he was a club legend and that's why the board did it, etc., whatever. This is the decision they made. Kovacic's buyout clause was also activated. But hold on, what's this? Chelsea have successfully reduced the length of our transfer burn. Now the struggling Chelsea can sign players in January, just like Lampard wanted, right? Right? No, wrong is what he's saying. This board literally reduced our transfer ban for the giggles just to sign nobody. And right here, we've got a comment. It says, Frank Lampard made no attempt to hide his frustration after Chelsea's search for a new forward ended in failure. He warned that the lack of incomings during January means his side are underdogs in the fight for Champions League qualification. And if you remember, Frank Lampard had an interview where he made it clear that this team wasn't ready. He just said it's not ready. It's not in a position to compete. This is part of the reason why. January, he wanted someone. He didn't get it. Could have brought someone in. And I remember that January period. It was the first opportunity for us to buy after the back of a ban. Nothing was signed. The ball didn't back him, which is unusual this time round because there was a common rift of managers being backed when they were first appointed at the football club. It was only when they started winning things and they wanted to improve on that squad that the board then backed out. But in this position, in this instance, after a ban, the board was still reluctant to back Frank Lampard or give Frank Lampard the backing of a forward that he wanted or he required to compete. Interesting. So we finished fourth, and while Lampard does not get some targets he wanted, the board also decides to make some signings of their own in Werner and Havertz. Lampard is sacked, leaving us in ninth place, but Tuchel comes in and gets us in fourth, whilst miraculously winning the Champions League, as we already know. And if you look at the players that were brought in, we spent the money. These were the arrivals of 20 to 2021. Kai Havertz, 72 million. Timo Werner was brought in for 47 million. Ben Chilwell was brought in for 45 million. Hakim Ziyech, 36. Edouard Mendy, being probably our best out of all of them, I would say, was signed at 21. Malang Sarr for 3 and Thiago Silva 3 could both be good shouts. For me, when I look at that from now, where we are now, I'd say Thiago Silva is great on the transfer. Malang Sarr, if he continues playing, would be a great move. Edouard Mendy, thanks to Peter Cech, was great. Hakim Ziyech, if he continued playing like he did the last 2 games and show us, could be. Ben Chilwell was a great signing for what we got him at, 45.18 million. We got him from 80 million. We wanted 80 million for him, man. We got it down to 45. Timo Werner wasn't 50 million. He was 47 million from Leipzig. And Kai Havertz was 72 million too as well. We move. Something also worth noting, and we are coming to the end of it soon. In 20/21, before that season, the days of signing unknown players for a bargain price like we did with Aspie and Liverpool did with Robertson were gone. The board want names instead of profiles. But Cech knows football. His football was the one who wanted Mendy. Thomas Tuchel has heaped praise upon Peter Cech for his role in Chelsea's signing of Edouard Mendy from Rennes last summer. Whilst Tuchel was not at the club, Cech pushed for a deal with that, which saw Blues sign Mendy from blah, 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 and the decision has been rewarded. Right. Edouard Mendy in 21-22 wins the goalie of the year. Tuchel will surely be backed, right? Wrong. Although he gets Lukaku, he's desperately wanted Tchouameni, Kounde, Hakimi and Traore. The response? A negative net spend and Sal on loan. Even now, without our wing-backs injured, they refuse to take action. What he's trying to get at, and we're coming to the end of this right now, is that there's a vicious cycle of our board not backing managers when they're winning trophies. When you want to dominate and become the best, like what Man United done for many years under Fergie, you have to back the manager. You have to fill the gaps. Why do you think Man United won back-to-back Premier Leagues in a period where Chelsea didn't or were thereabouts? Because they always improved in areas that were required for Ferguson, Berbatov, Tevez. You know, some players in the midfield, I can't remember all the players, but I'm talking about the key players. They always backed the manager for what they wanted to improve their system. And when you look at this, and this is the worrying part, right? Because we all love Tuchel. We all want Tuchel at our football club. And we want him to be here for as long as he possibly can. But when you look at the vicious cycle that we have currently seen from our board on managers that have came in and they've given them what they want, they then pull back from backing them. And in the instance of Tuchel, he came in halfway through a season. We got to a summer, right? We then bring him in Lukaku and Sal Niguez on loan. He wanted Kounde, Hakimi, Traore and Tchouameni. We failed in doing that. And the response to him, potentially, this is talks, this ain't facts, this is just rumours, is a negative net spend. Are we going down that same cycle again with Tuchel? Are the board going to lose us, this manager? You know, you can have a look here. We already know. There it is. 101 million was Lukaku. It wasn't even 97.5. 101 million sterling. Sal Niguez is on 4.5 million a year. We gave him Marcus Bettinelli as a backup goalkeeper as well. You know? Thomas Tuchel, and there's an article here, Thomas Tuchel has admitted that he's keen to bolster his squad before the transfer window slams shut at the end of the month, but also hinted that he's not convinced that he'll get his wish. Conte, Mourinho, Sarri, they're all saying the same things, guys. They're all saying the same things, and I'm worried that in Tuchel, we're going to have the same problem. And this is really opened my eyes. It really has opened my eyes more. Now that I can see and understand the vicious cycle that we're currently in with the board and how they operate. Yes, we've won things in the past. Yes, we were a successful team. Yes, we're the most successful team in England since 2000s. We are. And I am grateful for that. Thank you, Roman and the board, for backing the managers when they came through the door. But why are we not finding consistency? Why are we not able to dominate? Why can't we dominate for years and years and years? We have the money. We have the manager. We just don't have the right personnel in the board in regards to scouting, and maybe some people in the board. They have the wrong answer, the wrong mindset. The mindset is completely wrong. You know? And that's not all. Every manager we've had in the last 8 years have complained about players being difficult to motivate. But despite this, the board won't let them take enough action to replace these players. And when you click into each one of these, I can't play this one because it was obviously a Mourinho thing. Conte, I failed to motivate my players. Conte. That was his comment back in April 2017. And then you look at Maurizio Sarri's comment here, right here. The group of players are extremely difficult to motivate. Same grift. Frank Lampard. Let's go to Frank Lampard. Chelsea is not a club that's ready to compete. What was Mourinho's comment? Here it is. Chelsea players have unstable attitude. We have not only an issue with the board and the rhythm of backing managers after being successful, we also have the issue of players being unstable, hard to motivate, just not ready. Players that this board have signed. And it's the same riff. It's the same riff. Are we going to have the same issue with Lukaku? Right, we're coming to the end of it now. Contrary to what the rival fans believe, we have become a sell-to-buy club as well. Our net spend in the last 10 years is only 70 million higher than Liverpool's. Nearly 200 million lower than Arsenal's and less than half of United and City's. Our managers don't get backed enough. Our managers don't get backed enough is the answer to that. So this argument of net spend is what he's saying is nonsense, absolute nonsense. And you can see from Chelsea here, I'll zoom in as much as I can. You can see the logo. 3.95 net spend. 20 to 2021, we were minus 189 million. I'm assuming that is, yeah. 1920, we was in 112 million positive net spend. And then we were in a negative net spend, 125.5 million. And then we're in a negative net spend of 65 million. This is the excuse as of why our board are supposedly not backing these managers that we've had over the course of Mourinho's arrival. To end the thread as well, some fans even don't want us to win anything this season just so that the board will back Tuchel. This board needs to back him and have more people who know about football on this board, as the business side of it is good. If you enjoyed it, please retweet. Quick addition as well. He says here, quick addition, posted the wrong photo for the Conte wanting VVD part. So here it is. I also must stress the board need to stop signing players just because they are their big names. Falcao, Morata. I agree. We just sign players from their names, not look at their actual performances, and start signing people who suit the profile, which would also allow bargain signings. Facts. Something that I stress about a lot. A lot. But there it is. You know, there's an article saying that he wants Van Dijk as well, and there it is, guys. So there you go. A more in-depth breakdown into the board, how we back our managers, what players we bring in for them, and the selling of potential players. It's like I said, it's enlightened me. You know, I kind of knew it, but I didn't really know it into depth. And listen, he's given his opinion. He might not be right. Some people may disagree with some of the things that were brought out. But for me, it kind of makes sense. It kind of makes sense as to where we are today and why, in my head, when I think about it, it's why have we never dominated English football? Why have we not consistently been able to build a pattern? And that pattern has been analysed deeply of managers that have come in, top managers that have come in, been backed in the first season, got the job done, and then been thrown under the bus the second season because our board were not, capable of backing them. And that's where we sit. And that's where we sit. And they, instead of giving them what they want, they end up giving them some stupid names and some waste of players. And it then became hard for these managers to motivate the players that were brought in and the current players they had to be successful like they were the season before. For me, it makes sense. You just got to put the dots together. Anyway, still 143 of you here. I hope you enjoyed that analysis breakdown of what we went through. Big up to that guy as well, Joe Yan. Thank you very much for that in-depth breakdown. I'll put the link in the chat. You just want to come in and have your say for the next half an hour, please come in. 150 of you still here. Please make sure you smash the like button. Subscribe to the channel if you're new as well. Sorry, I've not been able to go through the chat. I've not been able to go through the chat as much as I wanted to. I'm going to bring in Couch first.
243 of you here. I hope you enjoyed that.
Couch, I can hear myself.
I'm still. You caught me off guard, man. I'm still listening, man.
Sorry, man. Sorry. How you doing, my man?
I'm good, man. What are you saying?
All right. How did you like that in-depth analysis?
Honestly, it's exactly what the fan base needed to hear. You know.
Yeah.
I think it goes twofold, though. It's not just the lack of backing. It's the fact that we're bringing in these B-Tech targets, and because they're on high wages, like the likes of Alonso, David Luiz and whatnot, under the Conte reign, you bring in these B-Tech targets, and then you can't move them on afterwards. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So when it's not that they weren't trying to back the managers, that they failed. A lot of the times when we're trying to bring in the Van Dijk decided to go to Liverpool.
They wasn't backing the manager's couch. That's the point. That the second season, when the managers had targets that they want to bring in to strengthen the squad and allow them to compete again, they wasn't given that.
Oh no, I get it. But I think
it's
twofold is what I was saying. I think that part of it, because even as you said, we tried to bring in what's his name, the goalie at Liverpool now, Alisson. And Alisson decided to go to Liverpool, right?
Mm.
Tried to bring in Van Dijk. Van Dijk decided to go to Liverpool.
And Couch, just to add on to your point, Oblak had a release clause of 90 back then.
I mean,
it was 120.
That for a goalie, you know what I mean?
And don't forget, Oblak was top 3 goalie still at that time, and you could arguably say he was number 1. And now he has a release clause of 120, on which we try to give 90 plus Kepa, which doesn't make sense now.
Yeah, I just think that overall, like, it's twofold. It's not just like I put a tweet out the other day, and I was saying that it's the strengths of the managers. Like the fact that Conte went from 10th to 1st is also hurt him, because they're like, wow, this guy's able to turn like water to wine. Like, look, we don't need to buy anything more. We just like supplement what he has, a couple pieces here and there, and then we're good again. And that clearly is not the case. Right? We brought in Bakayoko to supplement for the loss of Matic. We brought in Morata to supplement for the loss of Diego Costa, which was controversial to begin with. And then, Chalobah left, and then we brought in Danny Drinkwater for 35 million. It's not good enough, not good enough. And like I said, it's not just the fact that we're bringing in these B-Tech players. It's the fact that we're putting them on these wages that would make them unmovable.
But could you not see the same? Could you not see the same vicious cycle of the managers being backed when they first were appointed, but then winning things and then not being backed? It was like a thing of, well, you've won, you've got the squad, we don't need to invest anymore. That's how I feel about it. That's what I mean.
That's the way it looks in the end. That's how it washes out, because it just kind of like every year we're missing targets to help improve the team immensely. But ultimately, I think that it just comes down to the fact that we don't have the capability or the finances to go over the top like some of these other clubs. It's just really that simple at this point in time.
All right, I hear you, bro. What are you saying, Matty K? What was your thoughts on all of that?
Yeah, I really liked it. I agree a lot with what Declared said as well. There was a few things I sort of disagreed with. I mean, just a little bit. So, like,
Couch.
As far as the Couch.
Get it right, son.
I mean, I was up early, up at 4:30 this morning, so a bit tired. But I don't necessarily like the fact that we're using the phrase "not backed," because I don't think some of these were not backed. I just think, if I'm being honest, we weren't good enough at getting deals over the line. As far as Virgil van Dijk and Alisson, they're good approaches. If we had signed them players, we would have been buzzing. That's not like the board isn't backing you. The thing that failed us is we didn't get the decision over the line. We couldn't convince them to come. This summer with Tuchel, you can't say he wasn't backed. He was. We went for all the players he wanted. We were looking at them. We just didn't get the deals over the line. So I don't know if I disagree with it not being backed. I just think we probably don't push hard enough, or we just don't have the right people in place to get the deals over the line when it really matters. And I think that's where it comes to what Couch was saying, where we play over the odds. So we pay over the odds for players because we need to get players in. The next season, we've got players in, so we try and be a bit more tactful at getting the deals across the line. We miss the deals, and then the next year after that, we have to overpay over the odds again because we're in a desperate need for more players.
Mm-hmm.
Don't know. I just that was my takeaway more than not backed at all. It was just it just wasn't. We're just not doing good enough business.
One more thing I'd like to one thing I don't agree necessarily with the article is when they were talking about Chelsea players not being motivated or being hard to motivate, and they mentioned Mourinho, Sarri, but they never mentioned what players, because Mourinho had different. If you look at the team that Mourinho had, is a completely different team to the team that Tuchel had and the team that Sarri had. So who exactly are they saying?
There was
in
one
the
player
dressing room
always.
that
There
is
was
hard
one
to
player.
be
There was
motivated?
always one player that was hard to motivate. I don't want
Yeah,
to
it's
say
like
his name.
one player. That doesn't
No,
mean the
but
whole
it
Chelsea.
starts off.
All
But it
Chelsea
was a very
players.
key player, very
Is
key
it
player
that
as
player?
well.
No.
That player that's better than Mo Salah? Is
It
it that
always
one?
starts off. It starts off with one player.
Sorry,
It
my
spreads
point.
though, doesn't it? That's the
Sorry,
thing.
my
When you,
Spreads like
point
a
is
disease, man.
yeah.
my point is Chelsea players. If you talk like we're talking about the players that we have now, they're not hard to motivate. It's just that we just don't have the quality. That falls on the board. The board now being proactive, because historically, going all the way back to 2007, after we won the back-to-back Premier League, we didn't back Mourinho. Well, I know back, but we didn't sign the players that Mourinho wanted in 2007. And then in 2008, because we didn't sign anyone, we rushed and signed Ballack, signed all these players. Mourinho didn't want them. And then every time we win something, the next season we never sign any player of note to improve the squad. So that's been the case going all the way back to 2007. So it's not something new, but it's something that needs to be
But
corrected.
Rodrigo,
But in saying Chelsea players are not motivated, that I think that's too much.
well, listen, look, that right there was a. It wasn't spitting like. I mean, it's based on your own opinions of it. Like for me, it put a lot of dots together, like from the way it was explained and the rhythm of certain instances of the managers and stuff. I agree. Some of it maybe not as true. I agree, but everyone's going to have their own opinion to it, and that's what's great about it. You know, it just gives you an adverse, like a different view of how it could look or how it could be.
I knew Tuchel won't get the players I wanted. I knew from the summer. Once we won the Champions League, I knew it. Look at when we didn't win anything. We spent so much money trying to catch up. Once we think, oh, we caught up, we won a big trophy, and then the ball just put their feet up. It's a mentality thing in the ball.
And that's why I'm saying it's a worry when you look at Tuchel, because when you see that riff of Conte, Sarri, Mourinho, like not being backed in their second seasons, especially when they've just won things, etc. It worries me that they're going to do the same thing, and I hope they don't. I really do. I do think this is a big summer for them as well. There's a lot that
history
needs
tells
to be
us
done.
they will do the same thing. If we don't win anything this season, I think.
Well, I don't know. We should
go
do.
back.
We're in 4 or 5 competitions, aren't we? So 4.
Yeah, but if we win the League Cup, that's nothing. I mean, if we don't win,
it isn't. It is something. It's still a cup. That's the thing. People like this is the way the board will look at it. It's a cup that's a football club. You know. Go on, Josh. Go on. Sorry, let's just kick going, Josh. What are you saying?
Yeah, no, I was just gonna say, like, that's kind of like what Maddie said that rings true to the point to where this summer they did try to get Hakimi, even to the point where I think they were actually even willing to pay the clause. He chose to go to Paris for whatever reason, and then with Jules Kounde, that they could have probably paid the 70 and got him, but they tried to get the best deal, and that's what Marina does. Chelsea do never ever pay the flat out requested fee ever. So they're always going to, and to their detriment, sometimes they miss out on the player because of that. But I think they tried to get the guys that he wanted, maybe aside from like Traore or Adama Traore or things like that, guys like that. But, we're going to try, and it's what you guys spoke about with Allison and with Van Dijk. We try to get the best deal possible. Liverpool went in, paid the money that they asked. They got the player because we that's just not how we do things. And if you look
Josh,
at this,
that's not exactly true.
No,
We actually paid. We paid over the odds because we fucked it up in the summer. That's
No, you
Okay,
didn't,
well,
though, did
okay,
you?
so you
They
paid
won your
more.
league.
You paid more than us. We would never do that. We'd miss out on the player before we did that.
Yeah.
But at the same rate, like if you look at this summer, there's no coincidence that we sold 100 million pounds worth of player and bought 100 million pounds worth of player. Like that's just how we have to balance our books now. And we can't go out and just spend 150, 200 million without recouping anything in the summer or anything in the winter. Which I think is why you're seeing us hesitant to spend this January, because we don't really have anybody that we're going to sell. That's why we're looking to bring loan guys back and options like that, because it's not going to cost us anything. So we're in just kind of a tight situation as a club, and then also just the way that we do our business. I mean, we could go out and spend all the release, but use the release clause on all these guys and get them, but it financially that would be a disaster to us. So there's a little bit of both worlds there, and appreciate you doing that article, Jim. It was a really informative thing. Just it's one of those things where that's just the situation we're in right now.
I agree.
Do you think we're sorry, Nick?
Yeah, can I come in for just I heard all the article. It's very true what the guy said. Very true. And the other thing is, it's a lot to do with Marina. She always leaves it to the last second, to go and get a player. She leaves it too late, then it's too late. Somebody else gets the players we want. It's much too late. Plus, it's this board. Well, it's up to Abramovich really, but he has to give Tuchel years. He has to give him time. Get him the players. If not now, I don't think we're going to get anyone in January. Probably no one. But in the summer, give him the bloody money to go and get what he wants and stick with Tuchel. It's not good having managers for 2-3 years and get rid of them. That's what we're not like City. They have Pep for how many now? 7 years, 8 years. That's what we need. And it's up to the board. If they really want success, and Abramovich does, he wants to be top of the empire, he has to get rid of some of these idiots on the board. Plus, get all these scouts we have. There's no one decent. They don't know I don't know who they're looking at or who they're bringing in, because there's no one.
Young players.
Well, we can send Clasworth as a scout. He will do a better job.
So we got a donation from JJ Bridge. Thank you, bro. He says, I think Matty is on the Chelsea defence board, always finding excuses for them. Look at it from a fan point of view, period. But big up to you all, guys. Thank you, bro, for the donation.
So I get that. I get that comment. I'll just defend it a second. Where I'd say, because one of the things I was thinking about as well is, do you not think that the club is or our model has been hindered by our success? Because the fact of the matter is we change manager every couple of years, but we win trophies every couple of years, which then makes it harder on recruitment. Because
that then again falls on the ball, doesn't it? Because instead of having the action of, well, we've won something, let's dominate football for the next 3-4 years, they've gone, you've won something, we've backed you, it's worked. Now make it happen with these players for the next 2-3 years.
I get that. But then you could. I get that, but then you could go down hold on, let me just land my point, Nick, and then I'll shut up for a bit. But my point being is, I get that, but then you could easily go down the Man United model, which has happened there, where you back the manager that comes in, you spend a shitload of money, you get the players that they want in, then the manager doesn't work out, then you get in another manager, and you have to do exactly the same all over, where you're spending over the odds money to keep trying to fulfill the next manager's dream.
But it did work for Man United under Fergie, didn't it? Because they won back to back.
No, but it didn't work. It didn't work under David Moyes. I mean,
but it worked. It worked under a period when Berbatov and Tevez.
I'll give you an example of what Matty's trying to say.
I know what he's saying.
In 2013, United had the offer to get Thiago from Barcelona. They ended up getting Fellaini instead, because Moyes didn't want Thiago because he didn't.
Which
fit his
Thiago?
system. Alcantara.
Oh, okay.
This is before he joined Bayern Munich, so it can work. It can work like that.
Once to counter the whole hire and fire manager, where we got to the point where there's not a good enough manager left. Like back in the day, you could suck Mourinho and you could get Carlo Ancelotti. You could get so many quality managers. Now we're at the point is who's better than Tuchel, and if so, are they available?
I'm just worried
We
about the
can't
vicious
get no
cycle.
one better than Tuchel.
Exactly.
That's the problem with
unless
Chelsea.
unless you go to Liverpool.
You know, we
City.
can't keep buying getting managers every 2-3 years. They need a long-term project. Get some of these idiots on the board, you know, sacked. Abramovich has to come to London and sort them out. That's
It's the
what
scouting that needs fixing for me. I said this in the last stream. I've
You
been
saw the
saying
scouting. You saw the names. I showed you all the names of the
yeah,
current
I think
scouting.
there are issues. I think we need better scouts to be
Well,
completely
I mean,
honest.
one's
Oh
gone.
my
There's that
goodness.
nice go.
I didn't even know that was the list, eh? Like
Yeah,
that
there you
was
go.
a
Nor did I.
comedy show, man.
Yeah, Ross Turnbull's a scout couch.
Bro, isn't that Carl Mangate
Yeah,
guy?
how can he be
Didn't he
a
win a
bloody
competition?
scout? A
Didn't Carl
goalkeeper,
Mangate win a
scout.
competition to play for Chelsea or play with Chelsea or something like that? Carl Mangate?
Yeah.
I remember that name, Magne.
I mean, our goalkeeper coach wanted Alisson.
Yeah, let's let VV go. Go on, VV, mate. Go on.
So I just wanted to talk about. I read the article. It was fantastic. I just wanted to talk about a signing that basically encapsulates the whole disaster that is our board. It's Kepa, basically. So I followed this transfer in some depth, not a lot of depth because I don't know too much about Spanish football. So we all knew that Courtois was going to move at some point, right? Because he was playing at a really high level. He probably wanted that move. He'd been at Chelsea for a long time. And in January 2017, I remember reading this. At this point, Kepa had a £23 million release clause, which is like 30 million euros.
Yeah.
And Real Madrid wanted him, right? They wanted him. They were interested in him. And they decided, no, let's not sign him. And they probably targeted Courtois at this point and said, okay, we're going to go for Courtois, leave Kepa and just move on. Now, Kepa signs a new contract, which gives him a new release clause of 72 million, the famous number, or 71.6, whatever.
Yeah.
And surely, look, Chelsea, if you're going to spend that much money on a player, surely you've scouted him before. You could have signed him in January for 23 million, and none of us Chelsea fans would be trolled forever, right?
Yeah.
You
know what, VV?
We didn't know Courtois was going to do, go and do what
we
he
did.
did.
No, we did.
Everyone knew he wanted to go
Everyone
Real Madrid.
Look, we didn't know he was gonna snake us like that, to that extent. But we knew he was gonna leave, right? We knew he was gonna leave.
We knew he was going to leave. He wanted to go Real Madrid, but we didn't know. We didn't know he was going to do, just disappear and not come to training.
I disagree.
Jem, who was the backup keeper under Courtois? Who was the backup keeper then? Back then,
before
we had Peter Cech, didn't we?
No. Check
yeah,
that
we sold him that summer.
You sold him to Arsenal, innit?
We sold him that summer to Arsenal for like 15 million.
Caballero.
No, it was the Australian one.
Yeah, it was Willie, wasn't it? Oh, it was Willie.
What's his name?
But it goes back. Can I just go back to VV's point?
Retired before.
1 second. I just want to go back to VV's point, guys. He was saying what he said there is spot on, because the other real problem that we have with our board is planning. Our planning is atrocious. I feel that some of these buys are panic buys. I feel like we've just got to the last minute and we've just gone, 7-year contract, 72 million. Here we just need a goalie. Like that's how I feel. Courtois left. We knew he wanted Real Madrid. Like we knew Hazard eventually was going to go Real Madrid. Where was the planning? There was
no planning.
And one more point. I would like to make one more point.
We got Kepa, because Courtois left. All the fans wanted a big signing, a big money signing, so they wouldn't go Kepa.
No fans wanted a big money signing. No fans wanted that.
They wanted
Oblak because they're backed into a
Oblak.
They wanted Oblak.
The only big money signing we wanted was Oblak at that time, which was 90 million.
Now they want Yeah, but we couldn't get All Black, so they had to go and get someone.
Nah, you could have. You could have.
We
You
could
could have
have
got Oblak at the time.
I remember
Yeah,
Yeah, but
Emerson.
he wanted 100+ million. I remember that. With
Yeah,
Oblak.
that's
No,
right.
no,
Guys,
it was
remember that.
90. Jeremy was 90, which then when we went for Kepa, he went to Oblak went and signed a new deal, which
Yeah.
triggered
Plus,
a higher release.
Kepa was a young goalkeeper and number 2 in Spain. And so that's why they got him as well. But it was to calm the thing, with Quarter. We had to get someone to shut everyone up. But, it was...
What do you mean to shut everybody up? We didn't have any goalkeepers at the time.
It was a complete.
One more point I want to make, Jen.
Go on, VV, go on, mate.
One more point I wanted to make is that, look, if Courtois is going to Real Madrid, right? They would have known a couple of days before the deadline day, right? They would have known this. It's not like it just happened in 2 minutes. Courtois is going to Real Madrid, and he is going to be the number one, obviously, right? Like, that. Now, who's at Real Madrid already who we can sign at least on a loan? There's Keylor Navas. So why didn't we sign Keylor Navas on a loan or something like that? I'm sure we could have done that. I'm absolutely sure we could have done that. Because he was going to be the number 2 anyway. Yeah. So why did Chelsea go and spend 72 million on a keeper that was 23 million 6 months ago, and they didn't scout him clearly, and none of the fans even knew how to pronounce his name. It took me a month to memorize his name. So, what's the point? I don't understand this. And if you even look at...
Because you ain't been a Chelsea supporter too long. That's what you don't understand. I'll keep telling you, and Couch, what I'm telling you is true. We had to get someone, because because Porter fucked everything up. And
yeah, no kidding. But you're saying that the notion was that we had to pay 71 million to appease the fan base.
Young Kepa.
Didn't Real try to get him the season before?
Exactly. Real tried for Kepa 6 months before, and they didn't. They decided not to.
I remember they tried to get De Gea and they failed, and then they tried to get Courtois the season before he left.
Bro,
let's go back to Liverpool.
They were in for two keepers before they got to Kepa.
Yeah,
2 keepers.
Yeah,
but it was too much. All Black was over 100.
70 million for Kepa.
And how much was Allison?
Yeah,
that's 66 million.
Yeah, but we all thought he's going to be great, and he started off, really good, and we all liked him when he started.
I think we overpaid for
Kepa. He wasn't
I'm not overrated for Kepa. Don't you remember when he was saying
he was never 72 in my opinion. He was never 72 million.
Yeah, because after
maybe 27, but not 72.
Yeah, but we didn't know he was going to become so bad.
He came from Atletico.
Why did we not know? Why did we not know? That's my question. Why did we not scout him?
So that's my question. Again, but do you not think that, again, fan base, and I'll just use a classic example of what we've said already, I do agree that we overpaid for Kepa, and I do think it was a bit of a panic buy, but I do feel like the one thing I will agree with Nick is I think we had to do a sort of big signing, even if he shouldn't have been the right choice, because we've already said if we don't do a big signing that summer where we don't have a keeper, all that would have happened is the fans would have gone, we're not backing the manager. We had to go out and get a keeper. We had to go out and what was perceived as a big deal.
That's what I'm saying.
We just had the same argument.
I get that, but you're missing Matty. You're missing the real big point of the whole thing. The whole big point of Chelsea signing the keeper wasn't that we needed to sign a keeper. It's the planning towards buying the keeper. That was the problem. Why did we go and spend 70 million on 7 years on Kepa? That don't make, for me, that risk of panic buy. I'm telling you, that risk of just rush.
Because I agree. We should have had better planning.
Yeah. It's just the planning side for me.
For me, the end result is this, right? For me, the end result is this. If you look at hard facts, if you look at Man City and Liverpool, and you look at their squads and the players they signed, the players just fit. They just feel right. Like Ederson feels absolutely perfect for Man City. So why didn't we think of that? That's my with the money and with all the resources that our club has, we should be doing better.
May
fine.
I add something? May I add something though? I thought we were
Well,
gonna go
something
for
like that.
Allison at some point. I thought we were scouting Allison. I thought he was on our planning to get, and then he went to
No,
Liverpool.
basically,
You
what
plan to
happened
get
with
Alex.
Alisson is we taken too long. We taken too long. Liverpool came in and his head turned. It's as simple
That's
as
the
that.
thing. City, look,
No,
Pep
that's
and
not
Klopp,
true.
the
That's
ball, they
changing
get
history, man.
these
That's not
100
true.
threads, they want the ball goes and gets them for them. But we don't have that right now. The ball
You know what's
doesn't get the
crazy?
players they want with the
We
manager.
were linked. We were linked with Pope. We were linked with Nick
I
Pope at the
remember that.
time.
Yeah, Nick Pope.
I
Yeah.
would much
Nick
rather
Pope.
I
him
remember.
come to us than Kepa. To be fair.
Keeper, man.
You know
Yeah,
you know what the thing is. I think that everyone's missing here is the fact that as much as you can say Courtois snaked, he basically forced the board's hand because they were dilly-dallying, waiting around, waiting until the transfer windows were closed until they made the moves. They're like, nah, I'm out.
Planning,
To
That's
be
the
honest,
problem.
Couch, he did say
That's
6
the
months
problem.
before.
Yeah,
He did
planning.
say
Cal.
6 months before he was
Planning.
unhappy the fact that his family was at Madrid. He said it to the board months ago before he snaked us.
Kevin Navas and Courtois in one. You know what I mean? It's ridiculous. There was better for me. For me, there was just better options available at the
You
time.
could have got you could have got Donnarumma.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Part of the reason why I blame the board in terms of the goalkeeper, and I keep stressing it, it's the planning. Why can't we get Navas? Why couldn't we go for Donnarumma? You know, Black, all right, I get might have been slightly overpriced, but what made us revert to just rushing and getting Kepa? Like I felt like it was
Because
so
he was
rushed. I remember it.
So out of the article, Jeff.
With
In the 1920 season, right? In the 1920 season under Lampard, when the transfer ban was lifted, right? It's of course we didn't make any signings, but there was not even a bid. Like we didn't even get the yellow on Sky Sports that Chelsea have made a bid. We didn't even get that. So there's not even effort from the board to improve the side, which was pretty weak. Like we honestly could have finished 5th or 6th that season, and the Tuchel thing wouldn't have even happened in the first place because we wouldn't have had Champions League football. So it's
You know
like,
what's
I
mad?
mean,
Jem, you know what's mad, yeah? I don't know if you spoke about this already, but we still haven't replaced Ashley Cole as a left back.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you have. Chilwell.
No, but like, come on, bro. Like, he's one guy. You know what I
You're
mean?
never
Like,
going to replace Ashley Cole. You know, that's
Look how many years it took us to
we
replace
got
Ashley Cole.
Chilwell, he's the next best. You know,
Yeah, but the argument would be we still haven't replaced Costa. Like, I feel like you can't use that as a reason.
But it's a factor. You know what I mean? Like, we've had
Didn't
4
job. Didn't
left backs.
win left back?
Yeah, but there's no. Who's better than Chilwell, left wing back right
Think
now?
about Alonso because he was bought by
Robertson.
Conte for the system and it worked. You know what I
No,
mean?
Robertson ain't that better than Chilwell.
So, Jem, the one thing I'll say,
Yes, he is.
with,
Yes, he
no,
is.
he's
I'll
not.
try that. He is so much better than him.
No,
Did
he's
anyone have a
not.
problem with Azpilicueta
better
at
than
left back when he played there?
I think we're
Anyway.
focused on the wrong people from the article,
Yeah.
to be honest.
go on.
So
All I'm
so
saying,
what I keep,
from the
You go, mate.
article, some of the stuff he's saying was true, but also there has to be context being applied. Like,
Yeah.
quite a lot of the players that you tried to get had different opinions. They wanted to go elsewhere. Like, the only one I can say that you didn't bother going for was Van Dijk. I have to say, because it was only between City and Liverpool that are actually wanting to go for him. Chelsea, I didn't hear no reports about Chelsea trying to go for him. So the only thing I give him for that is the Van Dijk stuff. But the whole point is that you can't always get your first choice players. Like everyone knows Jurgen Klopp wanted Brandt, and we got Salah instead. Like, you have to have a good set of players that you need that fits the system and is the right profile. And if it's the case that all your managers are saying, oh, they're just hard to motivate, that is down to the profile players that you get. You need to know what kind of characters there are on the pitch and off the pitch as well. And that has to go down to your scouting department. Your scouting department tells you what kind of caliber players you get. The board is to get the best deal possible.
Like we do,
So
but
your
they don't know what they're doing. Yeah.
So from what you're saying, it sounds as though your scouting department needs a lot of work to be done. You know what I mean?
So I agree with what you've said there, and especially because the biggest, I mean, I know we've talked about all these players, but the biggest thing that I took away from that report, and the one thing I did massively agree on, people can say that Kepa was the wrong decision and we overpaid. I'm going to be honest, for me, yeah, it was a gamble. I'm not as angry at that gamble than I am some of the others, because if he did work out, and, you know, because everybody thought Alisson was overpriced now, I'm pretty sure we'd all literally give our left arm to have him. So I think them sort of gambles will happen in football. The ones that I don't agree with, and I'm really against, are the foul cows. It's the players that we're getting in that you can clearly see are past it or not where they need to be. And another example here would be Dembele, who we're looking at. Another prime example of somebody who's injured all the time, not doing it, and we're looking to get him in. I'm all right taking a gamble on a young player, maybe paying a little bit over the odds with the potential of it working out. What I'm not happy with is bringing in somebody who's proven to be injury prone, proven to be past it, and then trying to make out like it's a good deal. They're the ones that piss me off.
He's 24, Matty.
May I add something though? And this is just a question for everyone. Do you think that the fact that Chelsea see that we don't keep a manager for more than 2-3 seasons, do you think that might be one of the reasons why there is not as much preparation for scouting and buying players as it should?
No,
Yeah, I said that earlier.
Not at all, because
a lot of other reasons as well.
Look, it doesn't always look, when we scout players, it doesn't always have to be special and suited to the manager. There are some general players who are genuinely good. Like there are some players who are just good players. Yeah,
but then you're stuck with them for 3 seasons. Look at Alonso. Alonso worked with one guy, and that's it. He has never worked ever again since Conte left. You have many players like that. That they don't work. They just doesn't work.
I'm trying to figure out what you're asking.
Like, for instance,
are you saying basically that because we recycle the managers so much, we don't have a good scouting department because they don't have to work?
No. What I'm saying is, I just think that the board doesn't see it, doesn't look at it. They probably just look at the generalization of players rather than a specific player. Do you know what I mean? Like, because if you look at what we had, Jem was saying earlier, I think from all the managers that we had in the last 10 years, there's only been like 2 or 3 players that we bought. They were manager bought. Do you know what I mean? Like, they were specified for one manager. Everyone else was just generalized. So in that aspect, I think that's the problem there. There is no consistency in buying players for the manager or for a certain system.
Well, I think that the key there is that Chelsea need to sell to buy. That's been the case for quite some time now, since Jose actually came back. So if you got to sell to buy, like, first of all, you have to be able to clear out the dead wood that's at the club, right? So the players that no longer work with the new manager have to be sold because you need to generate funds to bring in the A-list players for the new manager. And that process is very difficult. That process is where the lion's share of the work has been falling apart, because how do you move these guys? How do you move Alonso, like you said? Like, who's buying this guy when he's on 100K a week? You know what I mean? Like, and he's a specialty player. You can only really play him as a wingback. Ross Barkley, another example, a guy on 100-something K a week,
Three-quarter.
Yeah. I hear you. Go on, KRB. What you saying, mate?
No, that's basically it. I just think that the problem that we're running into is we can't get the A-list players because we can't get them for the wages that we can't get them to sign on for the wages that they demand. And until we can move off the dead weight, we're not going to be able to bring in these B-list players, these B-list players, and these B-list players like the Alonsos and whatnot get high wages as well, and you can't move them. It's just I
agree. I think we're moving forward though. I think the next plan, what I would say is positive from our board. What I want to see is what Couch said there: Deadwood removed, players being brought in that Tuchel wants that fits his profile. If it's Kounde, Tchouameni, whoever, even if it's Shula on a free, I don't know. Like, get him the players that he wants and show him the backing, and get rid of some of these players to clear out the wage bill so that we can move forward and progress. Because soon, Silva, Aspie will potentially be gone. Jorginho and Kante, I think, may go soon. Like, we're going to need to start looking forward, man. And we can't have people just hanging around. Hanging around.
Well, can I just make a?
Don't worry, man. You got Gilmore in it.
Yeah, one player that I want.
We have Gilmore and Gallagher, but that's not enough. We still need a few experienced ones.
Is it? Where's this? Yeah. Where's this great time? Where does he say he's being sold? Let's have a look.
Can I just one player that I really want Chelsea to sign, and there have been no links. There have been very few links of this happening. If Jorginho goes, right, because I think he doesn't have much remaining on his contract. So if we decide to sell Jorginho, I really hope we go for Ruben Neves, because I think he has the qualities of Jorginho. Like, he can pass and control the tempo, but he can also make good, useful passes into the final third, which is something we really lack.
I
Because
agree with
if
you.
you
The classic can
if
score
you
great
look at
goals.
our midfield, right? If you look at our midfield, Jorginho creates 0 chances. Kante by default doesn't. I mean, he has developed his box to box game, but he's not a guy who is going to whip a ball, unexpectedly. Like, we're relying on our front three and our 2 wing backs to do all the work, and also, like, we're relying on Thiago Silva and Antonio Rudiger to win us games week after week. Okay, and every single game, I see Rudiger take the ball from our penalty area to the opponents. Like, seriously, we need players who are gonna grab the game, right? Who are gonna take initiative. Like, look at the Bernardo Silvas, look at the Raheem Sterlings, look at those kind of players, right? I mean, Ousmane Dembele is honestly, he is that kind of player, but the problem with him is he is so unfit. So, but I mean, it is the right profile of player, to be fair. To Chelsea.
So Andreas,
I would love Neves.
1 second, Nick. 1 second.
But yeah, Ruben Neves is a big one.
Guys, 1 second. Sorry. Chelsea are planning to sell Marcos Alonso at the end of the season, while Spanish and Italian clubs are interested. Apparently confirmed and ticked. That's from Andreas as well. So we'll see what happens with that. But it looks like Marcos Alonso should be out the door. We expect him to be out the door. It's just
Atletico Madrid want him, don't they? Yeah.
You know what's frustrating thing about Chelsea? Yeah? We behave like a small club. We are champions of Europe. We have one of the biggest. We're one of the biggest clubs in England, if not, well, for me, the biggest, but obviously that can be debatable. But, we behave like a small club. Like, we have guys in here that's been there for 5 years who can't get rid of them. We bring loans in, like random loans, like Saul, we have Barkley, Drinkwater. Like, we have very low quality players in our team. And they're still here. And it's like, we don't make big moves. Like, once in a while, we make a move here and there, like the Lukaku move. It's just very weird. Like, I don't understand. Like, how can we...
Because we give our debt with the players extension when they go out on loan.
Yeah, that's
so
right.
Don't even loan them. We
can't get rid of them. That's the problem.
Sound like a robot.
Yeah, I don't know what's happening there.
1 second.
Who's going to buy Drinkwater and
Drinkwater's gone.
Barkley?
Gone.
Who's going to buy them?
He's gone. He's gone. His contract runs out.
Really gone.
Oh,
Drinkwater. Yeah.
So if we fully backed Mourinho's second spell with Conte and you can put Sarri in the mix, we would have won more, much more, and not just that, but dominated too. I just hope they fully back Tuchel or it's curtains, is what Joey's saying as well. Guys, I do need to shoot. It's 2 hours, just over 2 hours in as well. Big up to everyone that's involved. Yeah, get this show up to 100 likes, guys, if you can. Let's try and get that. If you're new, before you leave, subscribe to the channel as well. No stream tomorrow for me. A little break. There's no football this week, is there, for Chelsea? But we will be back to organise a potential debate show for you guys as well. So bear in mind, I will try and find something, hopefully, for us to talk. Maybe do a bit of an analyse of why there's a break.
I mean, you could do a half season review.
Yeah, analyse of the games that we've gone through.
Or you can have a Class of Johnny show. That'd be
I don't need any Class of Johnny show, man. I can't be doing that.
Right,
but
you're going to get more likes than anything else. I'm telling you.
I got a lot of people running away as well at the same time. Marco Milano bought off the light Drinkwater and Barkley. Smash the like buttons as always, guys. Please get it up to 100. Big up to everyone. Hope you enjoyed that today as well. Something a little bit different on here rather than us all shouting at each other about players and that. So it was nice to have a little break from that. But big up to everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll be back soon. Peace out and have a good day.